Hey guys, today I want to walk you through my process for SEO-focused content marketing. I put together an example plan for a company called TitanCasket.com. So I've run through the steps and put it together, and I'm just going to walk you through exactly what I did. Let's dive in.
All right, so here we have opened up TitanCasket.com. Before we do any of the technical digging into it or analysis or anything like that, we would want to ask them what their goals are. Obviously, everyone wants to make more money, especially if you're selling products, but how they're going about doing that and what the strategy is internally for them are things that we need to know. So for the sake of this exercise, we can make assumptions, but that's definitely one of the first things that we would want to talk to them about. Goals could look like increasing organic traffic for bottom funnel keywords to drive conversions. Pretty simple. Another example could be, increasing organic traffic for mid-funnel keywords to outrank competitors, win more traffic that way, more brand recognition, things of that nature. So with those goals in mind, we would move forward into a technical audit. So the first thing we would want to do is run a simple tool. Today we're just going to use SEMrush, and sake of time, I went ahead and ran this already, just on the first 500 pages. And so from here we can kind of get a sense of the state of the technical part of the website. There's not too much wrong with it in terms of errors. I haven't looked through this yet. We got warnings. Looks like we might have some thin content going on here. We won't dig into it right now, but definitely things we would want to continue looking into. Maybe some redirects. Looks like they're temporary. They should be permanent. Title tag optimization. Things that aren't deal breakers, but you'd want to run through and clean a lot of this up. From there, depending on what we see here, we would want to suggest a in-depth technical audit. This is something that, in Titan Casket's case, I don't think is a big deal. I would probably still go through and do a manual check on some of the pages. For example, when I was looking through, I can't remember what page it was. One of these pages had a very lengthy Q&A. A lot of good information. It might have been the legal page. Yeah. So a lot of this could be better delivered via schema markup. Better delivered is probably not the right word to use there. We'd want to use Q&A schema markup so that these things are eligible to show up in Google search results. A lot of times you'll have a search result and you'll have like 2 or 3 questions under it, that kind of thing. We would want to enable that to happen for this page. And potentially, after we look through it, we may want to break this out into additional pages, but it looks like that might already be done here. So things like that can come up through a technical audit or just a manual walkthrough of the website. Definitely something we would want to do if we see a lot of errors on the site. Make sure that we are giving ourselves the best chance for success, giving Google the best chance to read our website without issue. So after we look at the technical audit and make sure everything's good to go there, we would want to move into kind of a competitor research. So I just start throwing in keywords that I think the website is for. Usually it's pretty easy to tell. And this, for this example, it's cheap caskets. I mean, at the end of the day, they may not be the cheapest, but when I think of ordering a casket for myself directly versus the funeral, I'm obviously looking to save some money. Cheap caskets comes to mind as one of the first things I would search. So right away we see some of their competitors are ranking ahead of them, and I believe that they're actually not on the first page for this. So that's definitely something that we could bring to them. They may not want to identify with that keyword as a brand, so that's something that we'd have to talk to them a little bit about, but definitely some search volume there that we would want to get in on. So we do some cursory research there. We also throw them into SEMrush or Ahrefs or whatever tool just to kind of see their trajectory. Looks like they're actually doing really well, especially after this the May update here. So that's really exciting for them. we kind of can see some of the keywords that they've been improving or sliding on, some of these main keywords. And this can just be intent shift, especially after a core update. But there are things we can do to optimize for broad terms like this. From there, we can go ahead and look at actual competitors in terms of reports. SEMrush does a pretty good job. There's lots of other tools that can do this, as well as just manually looking at what comes up in more searches than not for the keywords they should be ranking for. So earlier we saw trusted caskets, overnight caskets. All these guys look like pretty close competitors, and I've looked at a few of them beforehand, and they are. So this gives us a nice kind of overlap of keywords and traffic, and we can take that and do a bit more in-depth research in terms of a keyword gap analysis. What this does is it kind of overlays in a nice Venn diagram, or complicated when you get up here, but it shows us, what they've got, what their competitors got, and where we could compete. Or sorry, this is shared. So we're competing. We'd want to target keywords that we have not targeted. So the next thing we want to do here is kind of look at some of these keywords. Obviously, some of these are not going to be on brand. We want to definitely make sure we're targeting the right stuff, but that comes out in more of the keyword research. But this is definitely where we would start and try and close the gap on where their competitors are outperforming them. Another place to do this is just simple brainstorming, right? Being someone from the outside, you kind of have a good advantage in terms of you don't know the product. You can be a first-time customer and play that role very well and honestly, because you're not biased. So that's really good. So brainstorming is definitely a place to start. You can also look at people also ask for keyword research. There's just a number of different ways to continue digging through potential keywords. One of them is also the keyword magic tool here with SEMrush. We can just simply type in caskets and see what comes up. We've got a lot of broad stuff, terms that maybe I'm not familiar with. Like I had to look this up. Casket spray. It's like where you put flowers on top of the grass, I think. It's really cool. So a lot of good things to research there, as well as questions. Questions are pretty valuable. A lot of the time, some of the times they're sparse, but we'll see here that some of these I end up using in the content plan. And another good place to check manually is the competitors. What are they writing about? If the mission is very similar between the companies, how off-brand or on-brand are they staying? So like this is pretty BuzzFeedy type stuff, but we could look into it. Maybe it's actually bringing some decent traffic, but that's kind of more on the outskirts of the content that I would want to target for a brand like this. But definitely can be a way to spread brand awareness, especially through socials. So looking at the content plan here, we have our competitors that we pulled from SEMrush, the relevance, common keywords, things like that, including what things they might be advertising for, which is a good indication that those are profitable keywords for them. All good data to have when we're evaluating keyword research. We can look back at the competitor data quite frequently and pull from there. The simple color coding here is green is something we've used in the content plan. Yellow is something that they already have on their website, and red is something that's just off topic. There are a lot of duplicate topics here, so that's very important to consider when evaluating the topics for the content plan. But in general, there's plenty of things to go here to go through, and we can always continue adding keyword research to the bottom of the list. In the content plan, this is kind of where everything comes together. You have a very simple status. Right now it's an idea. After the client provides their approval for that idea, we can put it into progress and things like that. Target publish dates. The title, that would be the title of the page in the search results, the target keyword, word count based off of what we see competitors writing in terms of the number of words, buyer journey. These are pretty straightforward, but there are several steps that we could provide there. Author when it becomes assigned, suggested backlinks, again based off of the competitiveness of the search results, and that is something that's manually inspected. A little bit more nuanced than just, does the competitor have backlinks? And then the call to action or product highlight. So definitely the thing that we want to support with internal links and a call to action. That all depends on the structure of how the client wants to provide those things. So what we've done here is we've chosen the target keyword. Why did they cover the legs in a casket? This is a pretty informational thing. Someone's curious, maybe they are getting prepared for a funeral. But being an authority in your topic is going to be really important when it comes time to bury somebody. So if they remember you, then that's really good. Brand awareness. One of the hidden things we have here is subtopics. So we talked a little bit about secondary keywords, and this is kind of where we would fill those in. So we can pull subtopics from competing articles, as well as our general knowledge of the subject, as well as keyword research. We see things that are very similar but still slightly different. We want to outline those subtopics to be thorough. We want to make sure that we're covering the topic in its entirety. So from this point, with the approval of the client, we would assign this to somebody who has experience in the funeral or casket industry. Somebody who is pulling off of their personal experience rather than just a Google search. That is the ideal writer in this situation. They would write that with the assistance of some software that we use to make sure that we are addressing the content in its entirety. We have the keyword research that we've done, but this software also goes out, pulls topics using natural language processing from the competing articles, some of them from Google's internal systems itself, which are provided through an API, so they're not private or anything like that. But with that writing style, we're able to really make sure that we're writing a great piece of content as well as addressing the things that Google wants to see in order to rank that content. And then after that's published live, we do promotion if it's suggested, right? So these two pieces don't need any, but these two pieces, I went ahead and looked at the search results and said, you know what, these are fairly competitive, and so let's go ahead and add some backlinks to this.
I hope this video was helpful to you so you can get a little bit insight into how I like to operate SEO-focused content marketing. If you have any questions, just please leave them below and I'd be happy to answer them.